The words that struck me in that, Sandra, and how perfect it was you here today. Where angels fear to tread, grizzlies come instead. I actually have a story from one of the Bragg Creeker people. Her name is Laurel. She's actually a good friend of Maureen's and mine and Mom's. And their house was right in the line of the river. They lost their sunroom, their garage, their memorabilia, the landscaping and meditation paths that they had created over 3 years. And then they had basement issues to deal with. But of course, spirits run high. They run high because we know how to survive. We know how to get through. It's the time after that, when all the doingness is done. It's like when there's a death, right? When there's a release, a huge major release. There is a time for healing. And often part of our healing journey is letting out that suppressed buildup, as it were. So here's the story. And I called it duck toss. So what happened maybe 3 days ago was the community decided to gather all their children in Bragg Creek and all the parents of the children as well. And there was 300 yellow ducks given out with magic markers, permanent markers. And they were to write on the bottom of the duck a word of gratitude for what this flood brought them. Even if they hadn't figured out what the good was yet, they were to write a word of gratitude, of thanks, or of what it meant to them, right? So they all took time to do that, and they took a moment of silent prayer, and then they all walked to the big bridge. And so Laurel's telling me that they allowed the children to go first, so they threw the ducks, and blessed and gave thanks on one side, and then the parents came and threw the ducks, tossed them on the other side. So they're all feeling a sense of release, emotional, mental release, and coming together and a little bit of cleansing and all this. And Laurel said to me, and then this man walked up to me and looked at me and said, "You would think a woman of your age would be a lot more intelligent than to participate in polluting the river after all of this has happened." And she said, "Amongst all the angels that I have witnessed in the past 3 days, I knew there had to be a devil." It's too bad you picked me. So, of course, it ensued. His crew walked away from him. And I don't know what the end was. But this is an interesting thing, because we don't have to look too far for what we need. Not in angels or in grizzlies that really are angels, but they're coming to us to move energy in us that needs to be emptied out so that that light and that truth can keep moving through us. Everything is good. That's what we say. Everyone is an angel, even the most challenging of people, the most harmful and hurtful of people, because it is never about them. They just didn't appear out of nowhere, because it's all one, right? We call them unconsciously because there's something within us that needs to be balanced or released and then balanced, right? So that we can be centered in this nature that is true, that is infinitely creative. We're talking about creative and creativity today. And so that man wasn't devil. I might make a note that Laurel is a Christian woman, a good Christian woman. There is a belief system in that tradition of duality, and it's enacted. This is good, this is bad. You are a good person, you are a bad person. In religious science, we say it's all good. Now, it might sound like we're soft soaping, or might be you might say, oh, it's a Pollyanna attitude, and really, one day you're going to wake up when the pedal hits the metal, you're going to realize that really isn't the truth. It is the truth, but we just sometimes don't want to believe it because it serves us better to stay locked or stuck in our own belief system than to take a risk and a chance to open up and taste the wisdom of uncertainty, which means feeling unfamiliar within ourselves because we're moving to a higher frequency of being. We're elevating our mental fitness. We're moving and expanding our consciousness. We are being healed. That is not familiar to us. So sometimes it's easier to say, you are the devil. I mean, it's great that you got it out. But to walk away thinking that person is a devil and wrong and bad, so you carry that with you still. You know, and that's not about him. That's your belief system. A dualistic belief system is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, everyone was served. And I'm sure that man called Laurel forward too. You know, to be able to see a bigger picture. Yes, plastic yellow ducks in the Elbow River is not environmentally friendly. We know that. But the mentality and the spirit of a community trumped it, basically, in that moment. I know Bragg Creek is extremely environmentally friendly. That's why people live in nature, because they honor nature. Right? So everyone has something to see, something not to fix or heal outside, but to reveal within themselves so that they can and we can experience that perfection, that perfect life that we have been born as. So I wanted to share with you one of my greatest gifts in all of this. First of all, my radio show's coming out tomorrow. Now, I have been working on this for 20 years. So you've got to know there's a lot of energy about this for me. I was getting so uptight about it and in my head about it and so serious about it that I wasn't liking anything about me or it. Right? Then the flood came. And then I was totally distracted. And I had a break. And my prayer before the flood was, let me be playful. Let me be real. Let me just be me, you know, share what I need to share, but let me be in joy with what I am doing so that the people that I'm messaging to and the listeners can be in joy with what they are feeling and being and doing in the workplace. The show is called Minding Our Business, Creating a Spiritual Economy. So then the floods came. And so this is what I learned, and hopefully it's okay. Is it okay that I share some things? Okay. I'll be choosy here. The second night, we stayed, Maureen and I and my mom stayed at my girlfriend's house in slopes way up in Springbank, overlooking this beautiful valley it was gorgeous. And the second night, Maureen and I were talking, and we said, okay, what happens if we don't have a home? Because 11 o'clock on Thursday morning, when we were evacuated, the water was this far from our floor of the house. We have a crawl space, 2 crawl spaces. So after Thursday and Thursday night and Friday night and Saturday, I thought, we're toast. I really expected that Mom's heritage cabin was breached, and our home, at least when we came up to the window, we'd see, furniture floating and crashing into itself. So we were allowed to walk in on Saturday, not drive in. And so we did that. And I put my nose up to the window of the house, like so. And everything was as we left it. And in that instant, it was like, how could this be? And I had to look again because I didn't believe my eyes. It wasn't logical. Right? Now I'll go back to the second night. Maureen and I were saying, well, what if we don't have a house? What then? Right? So we were making plans. It was called a simple apartment in the city. Thinking about insurance, thinking about, well, if we can't live there, we're going to walk away from the property, which means walk away from all our financial responsibilities of the property. which means walk away from investment, inheritance, all that stuff. Just walk away. And we started to giggle as we moved into the reality of that possibility. And it was like, oh, I feel light. Oh, I feel free. I feel unburdened. Oh. So when, okay, now we're back at the window, it's like, really? It can't be. Really? Oh, jeez. And then I had this horrible guilt, thinking about everyone who lost everything. And then I went, law of detachment. Law of detachment. And I realized when I went, oh, gee, really? It felt like I had to go backwards into my old life. So it wasn't, now this is the gift. It wasn't my detachment to having the property at all, the lifestyle at all. It wasn't my attachment to the material things. When I always thought about detachment, I knew you had to detach in mind first, because everything happens on the mental plane and spiritual plane first, in consciousness. But I never had such a visceral experience of understanding that because I had that reaction, I hadn't embodied detachment, because I was still attached to the idea that I couldn't have freedom if I had obligation, commitment, and responsibility. Wow. That was huge. Then and this is all like, in one of those flash seconds that this all happened to me at once. Like everything is kind of just falling into place in a new order, which is what happens in chaos. If we all move to a higher level of order in consciousness. So then I realized I have this insight that I am free, period. And I didn't lose my beautiful home, my lifestyle, I didn't lose it. I had it all. So where are you feeling maybe stuck in this flow? Because creativity is about flow. And Sandra said it well. We could not call it forward. We could not unkink the hose, unplug where we are stuck in our mind, in our life, in the movement, in the shifts or change of the conditions of our life. We couldn't do it. We could not call it forward. So it came to us. It came to us. And it gave us an opportunity to come into wholeness and alignment with the truth of life, the truth of our life, which is the truth of all life. So where is it? Something else that I noticed, and it surprises me, because I think that I accept support very well. But as time went on, I realized that I just needed space. Everyone go away. Do you get like that? Do you ever get like that? And I know that there's a need for quiet and just because you're just with yourself. Because my mind wasn't functioning very well. And in order to do what I needed to do, I just needed to handle me. Just me. But I noticed in that I thought in order to handle things, I needed to be by myself. That was quite an interesting discovery. And I started to realize that it is an old habit, very old habit. Because when I'm not handling things, it's not pretty. Sometimes. If you have a little more gentle personality, perhaps it's a little prettier, but that's not me. So I wondered what that was about, and I'm still working with that one. The idea for me about all of these catastrophes around the world, whether they be, I talked to another colleague, Reverend Gwen, who's in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and they're going through extreme droughts and fires. So you've got that, or you've got the tornadoes, or now you've got the floods all over the planet, No, we weren't extinct on 12-12-12 or 12-21-12 but everything is escalating for us to come into whole consciousness, for us to heal all over the planet. What's the message? What's the message? Well, you get to decide what that is. For me, it is that we need to wake up to that there's only one thing going on, that we are all one family, and that we need to love each other, period. One community, one family. How do we stop ourselves from slipping back after we open our hearts and we survive the crisis and we have all these great aha moments? Then what? Right? Oh, good, I got my TV back. Hey, I can wash my clothes. I was going to come in my 6-day-old clothes today. Filthy, dirty, and I just couldn't pull it off this morning. I thought, I'll bring them in a bag and show them, it's like, no. Because there's a reality that we miss when we move into our intellect. When we try to figure it out in only one part of our own humanity. Our humanity is about the whole of us. The spirit in us, the heart in us, our emotionality being free, that full expression, that authentic self. And so what happens when we want to slip back into our comfort space instead of being kind of ripped open and vulnerable? This is where this teaching is so valuable, because it says when you're ripped open and vulnerable, you are open. You are open to see, to feel, to touch people, to relate at deeper levels, to see yourself and life differently, to come from your heart. How many more catastrophes do we need? In our own personal lives, in our own personal families, in our communities, in this world? Well, I don't know. I don't know that catastrophes are all bad. But if we do our spiritual work, and what that means to me is, when I personally slip into my intellect and I get tight and I get serious, what happens there is it becomes about me, right? And I disconnect from other people. Me, I am more important. What I am going through is more important. I don't even see what's important to other people. Okay, and then when I see it, then I stay in my intellect because I'm going to feel some shame and guilt about that. Again, still in the intellect. So this teaching allows us to understand that there is a higher wisdom within us that we can trust. What is this wisdom? We can't see it. We can't control it. We can't understand it. It gets hard, challenging to make friends with this wisdom, to live and walk in this world and step out from that wisdom, to wait and listen when you're impatient and you want things to happen right now in this world of material appearance. It's hard, but the more you do it, the more you listen, the more you trust that there's something within you that knows when you don't know. The more you do that, the less you separate out from yourself, and the less you separate out from those you love, and the closer we move into one world, one heart, one mind. So the work is definitely ours. It's nobody else's. That's not a bad thing. That's not like oh no. Keep open. Just keep open to the wisdom of uncertainty. It may feel uncertain because you don't consciously remember, you may not like, you may push up against things that happen in life, but your soul, your spirit has called, the wisdom within you has called it forward to you right at that moment. You get to decide what you're going to do with it. That's the empowering part. We have choice. But if we choose from our intellect only, we choose from the consciousness of duality, If we go into the intellect to find the way to survive, to move through, or to avert, we move into the consciousness of separation, because our intellect houses knowledge. Knowledge is from past experience. Knowledge is about condition. Knowledge is about this physical world and how to walk in this physical world. If, however, we go into that place of our spiritual intelligence, which needs fortification all the time, then we don't separate out from ourselves. You want to talk about the spiritual path of loneliness? That's the flip side of it. The one side is, as you're learning and building and healing your consciousness, you can't relate as well, or people can't relate as well to you, and you feel like things are shifting and you're losing ground, and it's like the flood's taking everyone away and you're all alone. The other side is that when you're moving on the path of of healing your spiritually and healing your consciousness, you let go in consciousness all those old beliefs that gave you a sense of identity. That's the internal feeling of loneliness. And that is what is reflected in your outer world when all the people and the things change in the outer world. It's coming from your own inner world, as everything does. I want to close today with a story that's kind of cute, a little playful, and probably being told in a lot of centers right now. You may have heard it, you may have not. A mouse looked through the crack in the wall to see the farmer and his wife open a package. Well, what food might this contain, the mouse wondered. He was devastated to discover it was a mousetrap. Retreating to the farmyard, the mouse proclaimed this warning: "There's a mousetrap in the house! There's a mousetrap in the house!" The chicken clucked and scratched, raised her head and said, "Mr. Mouse, I can tell this is of grave concern to you, but it is of no consequence to me. I cannot be bothered by it." Well, the mouse turned to the pig and told him, "There's a mousetrap in the house." The pig sympathized, but said, "I am so very sorry, Mr. Mouse, but there is nothing I can do about it but pray. Be assured, you are in my prayers." The mouse turned to the cow and said, "There's a mousetrap in the house." The cow said, "Whoa, Mr. Mouse, I'm sorry for you, but it's no skin off of my nose." So the mouse turned back into the house, head down and dejected, to face the farmer's mousetrap alone. That very night a sound was heard throughout the house, the sound of a mousetrap catching its prey. The farmer's wife rushed to see what was caught. In the darkness she did not see it. It was a venomous snake whose tail was caught in the trap. The snake bit the farmer's wife. The farmer rushed her to the hospital. When she returned home, she still had a fever. Everyone knows you treat a fever with fresh chicken soup. So the farmer took his hatchet to the farmyard for the soup's main ingredient. But his wife's sickness continued. Friends and neighbors came to sit with her around the clock. To feed them, the farmer butchered the pig. But alas, the farmer's wife did not get well and she died. Well, so many people came to her funeral. They felt so bad for the farmer that the farmer had the cow slaughtered to provide enough meat for all of them at the luncheon. And the mouse looked upon it all from his little crack in the wall with great sadness. So the next time you hear someone is facing a problem and you think it doesn't concern you, remember, when one of us is threatened, we are all at risk. When we are all involved in this journey called life, we must keep an eye out for one another and make an extra effort to encourage one another. Each of us is a vital thread in another person's tapestry. Our lives are woven together for a reason. One of the best things to hold on to in this world is a friend. And when one of us is threatened, we are all at risk. Well, that works from the outside in. It also works from the inside out. When we threaten ourselves by not understanding we are free at every moment, at every turn, when we threaten ourselves by believing that our source is outside of ourselves, when we're down on ourselves, when we doubt ourselves, we have many threats. We probably have more threats in our own mind, in our mentality, in our intellect, than my computer has that Monica's trying to fix right now. Viruses, running rampant. So take care. Yes. Help other people. Get out there, even if you're feeling not great. Just get out there and help. Just show up as you are, without any pretense, without any need to help, without the excuse of, I don't know what to do. I want to make a difference. Just show up, and it will be revealed to you if you come from here. Not here. Let this go. Take advantage of this time. I know the energy in the city is a little down. I mean, people have said, it's gloomy, it's this, it's that, it's not good right now. Are you kidding me? It is fantastic right now. With what are you thinking? With what are you speaking? You and you alone, in this moment, can make a difference in Calgary and any place, in anyone else's mind, in any community, in any organization, by how you choose to think. Get it. It's important for your life, for your health, for your well-being, for your advancement, for your evolution, and for the evolution of this planet. We are so blessed to know this, to have chosen this, and to have called into our life exactly what we have called into it as an experience. Because everything, no matter what shape or size, is for us to reveal within us the truth, the wholeness of who we are, to let go, to let go, to let go of every obstacle in our mental atmosphere that stops us from the creative flow in our own life, so that we truly may expand the possibility of being in service to humanity. We are one community, and it feels good, and so it is.